All right, let's get right into it. When we talk about AI, we usually think about, cool algorithms and massive data sets. But underneath all that software is this huge physical problem. I mean, how do you get hundreds or even thousands of powerful processors to all speak the same language and to do it at the speed of light? And that right there is the central question, isn't it? When your AI model has, and I'm not kidding, more moving parts or parameters than there are stars in our galaxy, you can't just run it on a single computer chip. No way. You need a whole army of them. But getting that army to work together, perfectly in sync without tripping all over each other, that's the real magic. And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The secret sauce for building these incredible AI supercomputers, it's not just about making faster chips. It's about building way smarter, way faster connections between those chips. In a very real sense, the network, it is the computer. Okay, so let's break this down. First up, why one GPU just isn't going to cut it anymore? We need to tackle the challenge of training these models with trillions of parameters. I mean, why do we even need these ridiculously complex systems with tons of GPUs in the first place? Well, it all boils down to this number. We're talking about models with over 1 trillion parameters. Think of that as the AI's brain, its entire base of knowledge. And it is just so mind-bogglingly massive that it physically cannot fit into the memory of one GPU. Not even close. It's kind of like trying to pour the entire Pacific Ocean into a single coffee mug. Just not going to happen. So the obvious answer seems to be, well, just use more GPUs. And yeah, that definitely solves the memory problem. But it immediately creates a brand new one, a much harder one actually, a massive communication jam. Suddenly, all these GPUs need to be constantly talking to each other, sharing updates, getting in sync, and that coordination, that constant chatter, it becomes the single biggest bottleneck in the whole system. And this brings us to what's really the villain of our story today, the great data bottleneck. Here's the thing about AI supercomputing. You're almost never limited by how fast you can crunch the numbers. The real limit, it's how fast you can move all that data to the exact spot where the number crunching needs to happen. So let's look at the dirt road versus the superhighway. For a long, long time, GPUs talk to each other using something called PCI. You can think of it like a single-lane country road where all the traffic has to pass through the town's main square. That's the CPU to get anywhere. It's slow, it gets backed up, total gridlock. NVLink, on the other hand, well, that's a multi-lane superhighway built directly between all the GPUs. They can talk to each other instantly with no middleman slowing things down. And when you look at the numbers, the difference is just staggering. We're not talking about a little speed bump here. The latest NVLink gives you 900 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. That's more than 7 times faster than the newest PCB standard. It's literally the difference between watching that little progress bar slowly crawl across your screen when you download a huge file and it just being there instantly. Okay, but how in the world do you connect, say, 8 GPUs together with these superhighways without it just becoming a completely tangled mess? The answer is this brilliant little piece of hardware, the NVSwitch. You can picture it as a massive, super intelligent traffic circle. It lets any GPU talk to any other GPU at full speed all at the same time. It's the master traffic controller that makes the whole thing hum. All right, so we've got the hardware down, we've got our superhighways, we've got our traffic controller. But all this amazing hardware is really just a pile of silent metal without the software to actually conduct the orchestra. And this is such a crucial point. Raw speed is pretty useless without a conductor. That's where communication libraries come in. They're like the sheet music for this whole hardware orchestra. They're the software that choreographs this incredibly complex dance of data, making sure it flows between all the GPUs so that everyone plays their part at the exact right moment. Now, the gold standard in deep learning for this is a library called NCCL, which stands for NVIDIA Collective Communications Library, and it is incredibly smart. When you fire it up, it actually probes the entire system to map out the fastest communication path between all the GPUs, whether that's NVLink, PCIe, you name it. Then it picks the perfect algorithm for the job, something like a ring all reduced for passing massive chunks of data around efficiently, or a tree algorithm for sending out really quick updates. And get this, with some newer tech called Sharp, it's so advanced it can offload some of the mouth operations to the network switch itself. That saves a whole round trip for the data, which is a huge deal. So yeah, NCCL is definitely the star of the show for high-performance GPU training. But it's really part of a team. You've also got MPI, which is kind of the old, reliable workhorse from the world of high-performance computing. And you've got Glue, which is super portable and great for CPU training or just as a fallback. Think of this table as a little cheat sheet. Each one has its own special job to do. Okay, we've got the hardware, we've got the software, so how do we actually use all this stuff? Let's get into the playbook, the actual strategies for taking one of these giant AI models and splitting it up across the system. So, there are two main ways to split the work. The analogy I like is a team of chefs in a kitchen. First, you have data parallelism. This is where every chef gets a copy of the full recipe, but they each get a different batch of ingredients to work on. It's simple, it's effective. But what if the recipe itself is just too big and complicated for one chef to handle? That's when you need tensor parallelism. Here, all the chefs are working together on one single massive dish. Each chef handles a specific part of the recipe. As you can imagine, this requires constant, ultra-fast communication between them, which is exactly why it absolutely relies on that NVLink superhighway we've been talking about. Now, there's another strategy, especially for really, really deep models, called pipeline parallelism. But if you do it in a simple, naive way, it has a giant flaw. It's called the bubble problem. Just look at this. GPU 1 does its job, passes the result to GPU 2, and then it just sits there, doing nothing. It's idle. Then GPU 2 passes it to GPU 3, and now GPU 1 and 2 are idle. This idle time is the bubble, and it's a huge, huge waste of very expensive computer time. But there's a solution. It's a really clever scheduling trick, often called one forward, one backward, or just one F1B. So instead of processing one big chunk of data and waiting, you chop the data up into tiny micro batches and you just stream them through the pipeline. As soon as the first micro batch moves from GPU 1 to GPU 2, a new one immediately starts on GPU 1. Pretty soon, you hit this beautiful steady state where every single GPU is busy all the time, either processing a new batch forward or calculating updates on an old batch backward. The bubble is popped, efficiency goes way, way up.
And that brings us to the final piece of the strategic puzzle, memory sharding. This is a game changer. Instead of every single GPU needing to hold a full, redundant copy of the model, which is super wasteful, you shard it. You split everything up. The model's actual parameters, the gradients, which are basically the lessons learned, and the optimizer states, which are the plan for applying those lessons. You spread them all across the cluster. Then, when a GPU needs a specific piece for a calculation, it just summons it over the fast network, uses it, and then could discard it. This is amazing because it effectively pools all the memory from all the GPUs into what feels like one giant virtual GPU.
So when you put all of this together, the insane hardware, the smart software, these clever strategies, it's all pushing towards one really incredible goal for the future. So what's the next step? Well, it's to completely erase the boundaries. We're talking about extending that ultra-fast NVLink fabric outside of a single server box. The new systems are stretching the superhighway across entire racks, completely blurring the line between what's inside one computer and what's outside. And the scale here is it's honestly mind-boggling. We're now able to connect 256 GPUs into one single cohesive system. A system where every single one of those GPUs can talk to any other one as if they were literally plugged into the same board. And what does that give you? It creates a single, unified pool of memory that totals 144 terabytes. I mean, to put that into perspective, that's enough space to store the entire collection of the Library of Congress several times over. And all of it is accessible by any GPU instantly. And, this quote from the technical white paper really hits the nail on the head. It says, "This is revolutionary for the programmer." Why? Because it means you can write code for 256 different devices, but it feels like you're just programming for one single, unbelievably powerful machine. It just completely changes the game for developers. And that really brings us to the final big question. All of this incredible engineering, everything we've talked about, it's all in service of one thing, creating bigger and more capable AI. So, as we start building these computers that have brains measured in hundreds of terabytes, the most exciting question isn't just, how does the tech work? It's, what new, more profound questions will we finally be able to teach it to ask?